What's going on, everyone? StealthyWolf here, and I'm here with a part one of two videos I'll be doing. So this is the first one. Go check out the second one, which will be in the description when it gets uploaded. Whoops. But this, I'm going to be talking about EGX. Well, this first one's going to be talking about my previous stuff with EGX, and especially sort of talking about last year's EGX EGX London 2021. Whereas the next one is going to be talking about what's coming up for EGX 2022 London. So, first of all, hi, hello. I am someone who does enjoy and has been to a few EGX events, including Rezzed and the main EGX. Now, the pandemic has done quite a number on conventions and social interaction and everything like that, which means that 2020 was not possible to do conventions. So I went to EGX Rezzed 2019, sort of first one properly, me doing, and I really enjoyed it. Rezzed is more of kind of was more of the indie kind of base thing. It's very kind of like smaller, and it's a lot kind of, more kind of unique things, a lot of things you wouldn't usually see, or even know of, if you just sort of, don't pay attention to kind of all the sort of indie stuff. Whereas the regular EGX is kind of more, it has some of your AAA titles, a lot more kind of, bigger space, a lot more kind of live events and everything like that. A lot more panels. So I went to EGX Rezzed 2019, and I liked the event. And I was like, I'm actually going to go to the big EGX. So I did, and then sort of little thing after that, and then I was like, I'm going to buy tickets to Rezzed 2020. That got delayed. Well, Rezzed got cancelled, but the tickets were good for, the big EGX event. And then that still didn't happen. And I believe early 2021, nothing happened. And then, later on in the year, finally, EGX 2021 happened. And we're going to get onto that. We're going to get onto that. So, EGX, I didn't even explain EGX, have I? No, it's a big gaming convention. It's the Eurogamer Expo. Currently, or sort of as of right now, as me recording this and me uploading this, they currently have EGX Birmingham earlier on in the year, and then later on in the year they have EGX London. I believe it's the NEC in Birmingham and the XL Centre in London is where they have primarily had them, as much as what I can remember. So it's a huge gaming convention. Again, like I mentioned, they previously had Rezzed. Quick little tangent, the person who used to organise that for Eurogamer, for the Eurogamer sort of gamer network stuff, they've moved on, and they do another event which is very similar to EGX Rezzed. It's just not EGX branded, and they had their one earlier this year with a London gaming sort of festival thing that had it's going on for a full month, and it had a bunch of different sort of gaming events and everything like that around London, which the event WASD was there, which basically it was like EGX Rezzed. It was a lot of indie stuff and panels and kind of talking to sort of not big AAA kind of thing, like actual, kind of real developers and stuff. So yeah, Eurogamer Expo has been going on for years. I remember actually, I went to one in 2013 when it was Eurogamer Expo, not just shortened to EGX. So that's kind of a thing of how long it's been going on. But let's just swiftly move on, because I know a lot of people kind of the first day or two of EGX 2021 did kind of crap on EGX sort of coming back as a convention in late 2021, and I think that's a bit unfair, but it makes sense. It makes sense. So I'm going to be comparing it from EGX 2019 that I went to and EGX 2021. Now I know there is a 2-year gap, again, pandemic and sort of everything, and a lot of changes. But they were in the same location. They were both at the Excel Centre in London. So obviously, the first things first that we have to say is the EGX 2021 announcement of when you could buy tickets, when it was actually happening, and sort of all that kind of stuff. That all happened only a few months before the actual event was going on. Now, obviously, the reason for that, pandemic. Well, assumed reason, I can assume, they wanted to get people, or they wanted to get, games, developers, all that kind of thing. They wanted to, have, a huge event, kind of thing. So obviously, some developers might have pulled. I believe some developers did pull out. There wasn't that many big AAA games, or AAA sort of like things. There wasn't like a huge PlayStation sort of section. The huge Call of Duty section wasn't there. Sort of other big AAA games or, hugely popular games. The only thing that really had like a big set piece was a Fall Guys section, which was like a full mountain kind of travelator thing. I didn't do it. I despise Fall Guys. But it was for Virgin Media, which, if you don't know, Virgin Media in EGX like Virgin Media sponsors EGX. So, like, a lot of the times there's a lot of stuff branded for Virgin Media there, which is a UK-based internet company, ISP. Apart from that, and apart from the, sort of huge retro zone, the sort of somewhat recent sort of console generations, Xbox 360 and sort of, PS2 sort of era, sort of section, and then sort of the big theatre sort of show panels and everything like that section. It was fairly sort of small and contained. Actually, no, there was another sort of set piece one where I can't remember what the I wish I could remember what the game was, but like it was like a proper kind of like, there was like full kind of like sort of statue statue kind of thing, or mannequin sort of kind of things for the game. It was kind of like huge kind of aerial sort of dressed up for the game, and there was sort of huge space around. A lot of people looked at the sort of like some empty, well, a big empty space that was at one specific section of the event, and basically just sort of focused in on that and was like, well, this place is really empty. Oh my god, nothing's here. There's no point. Like, yeah, I fully get it. The Excel Center is a huge sort of location for a convention, especially with, like I said, the last minute sort of announcement of the tickets I'm not so much sure about the date, but I know about the tickets were about 2 months beforehand that you could buy them, which trying to get people to go to the event. But when I was there, I remember sort of on the popular days being sort of Friday and Saturday, there was a lot of people there. There were a lot of I dare to say it was sold out on those days. But yeah, the like that kind of space. Every other sort of place, there was still enough going on everywhere. That kind of space over there was kind of more of a do you want to kind of like just do you need a moment from sort of everything? So there was pros and cons of having sort of everything sort of quite hugely spaced out. It's quite nice you weren't ever sort of stuck behind someone. Again, a lot of people have said that that some of the spaces was a bit kind of, you could have fit a lot of stuff here, and yes, I completely agree. There are a lot of things, but again, a lot of sort of AAA developers mainly sort of would have had to fly in, and with sort of COVID restrictions and everything on flying at the time, it would have been risky to send sort of almost anyone over, which is unfortunate. But I don't think that a lack of sort of the huge sort of AAA PlayStation, Sony, Xbox kind of things really took away from what the event was. I was there all 4 days. I on the Thursday was there, like cool, let's go sort of see what's on, see what kind of merch stuff they've got, see what's what games are sort of playable, what kind of sort of indie games, sort of sort of Steam based games, and and sort of play them and everything, see how see what's what games are at the retro zone and everything like that, and see what kind of board games and stuff, because there is board games as well. There is also cosplay, which was great. Like anytime there was a cosplay thing going on the schedule, there'd be a ton of people just sort of around watching the cosplay catwalk, and it amazing cosplays and everything. But that's you're at an event and there's cosplay. Like as I said, it's a gaming event, but there's so much more than just video games there, and that's what makes EGX, for me, like, especially being in the UK, one of the best events. Yes, it is one of the only sort of big events that's affordable and also isn't going to be sold out in 5 seconds like a Comic-Con or something. But it caters to everything video games. You are going to go there and you are going to be able to go up to whatever games or anything you're interested in. You talk to anyone around that game, they're going to instantly nerd out with you about video games in any way, and that's such a great thing. You go to the board game section, you get to nerd out with people with board games. You go to the retro zone, you get to nerd out with people about retro games. You go to the cosplay section, nerd out with people about cosplay. And and I mentioned panels and everything. There's a lot of sort of like they call them panels, but it's not like, it's kind of a sort of someone talking about a topic that they know about. So, they're sort of like, I remember there being some talking about sort of voice acting and everything like that, and it's insane the amount of kind of stuff that is there. So even though, comparing it to 2019, sort of 2019 to 2021, yes, there was a bit less, but it didn't detract. There wasn't anything that, you weren't struggling to find things to do if you went for the entire 4 days of the EGX event. In sort of with what was left. With what was there, where people going, oh, there wasn't that much. Yeah, calm down. Now, so obviously need to immediately address this because I assume it's going to be a sort of slight thing. The differences with sort of COVID and the pandemic. Now, this happened, I believe. I know some people who went to MCM Comic Con in London, and that was held in the Excel Centre as well, and they had the same sort of system of when you go up literally to the front door to go into the Excel Centre, not the event itself, not EGX, not MCM, not whatever else was there, before you even get in the building, right? There are people there to, to check that you have, that you've got your COVID pass, that you've had vaccination, and you tested negative in, it might have been like the past 48 hours, I think. 24 to 48 hours that you've tested negative. And, that would again, like I said, that wasn't even to get into the event, that was to get to the building. That was to get in the building. So, so again, if you've seen some videos or pictures from that event and you go, a lot of people aren't wearing masks, that was kind of why, everyone, to get in, you had to test negative, you had to have your COVID vaccinations, COVID pass, well, COVID NHS pass. So it was, it was very sort of heavily kind of like, if you don't have vaccinations, if you haven't tested, you are not getting in. You're just not getting in. And, I've seen a couple of things. I've sort of briefly gone through the sort of health and safety stuff about the event, sort of to see about the COVID stuff, and it seems to be a similar thing for just the Excel Centre itself. But that's sort of a good practice that kind of bigger conventions and everything kind of need to do, especially with still everyone having to live with COVID. And I'm sorry I keep saying the C word, but it needs to be addressed with sort of big conventions. Now, all in all, I really enjoy, I'm not someone who has some kind of loyalty to, certain events or whatever. I'm not gonna, if I didn't have a good time at a previous event at an EGX, or as we're talking about EGX 2021, if I didn't have a good time then, I wouldn't be going to the next one. Like, that just makes sense, right? If you didn't have fun at the event, don't go again. Just makes sense. Apologies. So, yeah, if you didn't have fun, don't go. There is a lot of stuff that still happens at EGX that you can still sit at home and watch and enjoy. There are still live streams from EGX. Again, sort of specifically for this year, I don't know sort of the schedule. Haven't really been given the schedule yet. We're still over a month away, so things are subject to change, which is why I'm going to be talking about all the stuff coming up and stuff I'm excited for in the second part of this, talking about EGX 2022. However, just to round off, yes, there was a bit less from pre-pandemic to post-pandemic EGX convention, just that convention itself. However, it was not so much so that it was noticeable that there wasn't much you could do. You know, there was still tons of indie games, tons of tons of things to do, panels, shows, you know, the board game stuff, Retro Zone. You know what? There was even a TikTok section. You know what the TikTok section had? The TikTok section had my first instance of playing with a PS5 controller playing the Sackboy game. Yeah. So I gotta thank TikTok for for being the sort of area where I was like, hey, there's a PS5 controller, I'm gonna play that. But yes, in terms of a full thing about sort of EGX 2021, it was a great sort of first convention for me after the pandemic, after everything kind of being shut down, sort of everything then reopening slowly. So I 100% say that EGX 2022, well, even before me talking about it properly, it's definitely going to be a bigger event, because, you know, people can fly, you know, so there's going to be a chance that there are going to be developers, AAA titles, you know, everything like that, and they're going to be able to fly from wherever to get to London, to go to the Excel Centre, to then actually show their stuff, be that sort of video game previews or actually hands-on playing the game. So, check out the second video, which will hopefully be in the description soon, where you can check out sort of where I'm going to talk about the EGX 2022, what I'm excited for, and just to sort of have a noting point of what's going to be there, so then after the event, when I've gone there and then come back, then do another video where we can compare, you know, what was said was going to be there and if something lived up to the hype or not. So, thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you in part 2. Peace out.